Всем привет! Я продолжаю.
Hey, you! Yes, both of you! Over here! I've been keeping an eye on you for a while now.
Huh? You mean us?
That's right. If I'm not mistaken, you're also among those who wish to cut down the thorns and pursue the truth. No? And
Well, you're right on the more about that one, but who are you?
have you never heard of the Spina di Rosula? From mediating disputes and providing protection to solving conundrums, you name it, Spina di Rosula does it. And I, Navia, have the honor of being its renowned president. Though those who play by our rules call me boss.
I'm Silver, her attendant. Pleased to meet you.
And I'm Melus. Demoiselle's various daily needs and affairs are under my...
Huh? Boss? Demoiselle? What gives with the names?
Well, I am the second generation president. Melus and the others are still used to my...
My apologies, Demoiselle. Should you prefer, boss, I will endeavor to use that instead.
No need. You don't have to call me boss. Just Navia is fine.
Okay, if you say so. Not that we're members of Spina di Rosula.
All merely trifling details. Never mind. Now, back to the situation at hand. That's right. I've always kept an eye on the serial disappearance cases. My interest stems from a matter back from my father's time. Judging from the look of things, I find Lini an unlikely match.
Really? We think so too. That's why we're looking for clues now. But how did you come to that conclusion?
Intuition, naturally. My unparalleled intuition. Farina sure was quick to point the finger at Lini without any decisive evidence whatsoever, wasn't she? But that's not uncommon for her. If you remember, the justice had to interrupt her and ask if she was pressing charges just to keep her from getting Anyway, a trial begins the moment someone levels charges. And, of course, there was no way Farina was going to back down in that situation.
Sounds more like you just don't trust the Hydro Archon.
Well, what's your opinion? I must admit that she can be interesting at times, but liking her doesn't mean that I'll blindly agree with her. All right, I've answered your question. Now, it's time you answer mine.
Wait a minute, did that answer count?
Well, I say it does. But don't worry, you won't hear any pointless questions from me. In your opinion, do you think it's right to treat a trial like it's an opera?
Well?
And why would that be? See, Silver and Melus? I told you they'd be different.
Most astute of you, Demoiselle. I, too, think that the Traveler's response was most excellent. No matter how wonderful the script or how fervent the audience's expectations may be, the trials that go up, and if that can be done, boss.
All right, that's quite enough, Melus. Anyway, I like your answer. You pass with flying cup now. I need to make some preparations, following which our joint investigation shall commence. You two shall be my assistant.
Wait! Since when did we become assistants?
Oh, well, I can be the assistant. Sure. Or or your companion if you like.
That's more like it.
Far be it from me to brag, but I believe that Demoiselle's intuition will be instrumental in uncovering the truth. You wish to save a friend from false accusations, and we wish to unravel the disappearances. In this sense, our goals are aligned.
You have a point. Huh. And what about you over there? What do you think? You seem like you've got something.
I have nothing to add.
Oh, alrighty then.
We'll be making some preparations first. Just be sure to let us know if they start revealing Lini's tricks. Thanks!
Sorry, but no one can freely enter or exit the Opera House at the moment. If you wish to leave, you must register your ID.
No, we're not leaving. We're representing Lini and Lynette as attorneys, so we're investigating the case. Were you always guarding this entrance?
Yes, after the Chief Justice gave the order, everyone coming in or out must undergo a strict, so the missing girl couldn't have left from here. At least, not from that point on. I doubt there was much opportunity then.
How can you be so sure?
Well, because I was in charge of security, I couldn't see Lini's performance from here, which was quite a shame. Just my luck. But still, I did not abandon my post. And I stayed put no matter how loud the applause was. If someone had so much as even approached the door, I would have known. We Melusines are good at that sort of thing, you know.
So, it's safe to say the girl couldn't have left through here. Alright, thank you for your help. This'll be useful info.
I see that you're investigating the area. Well, it just so happens that I'm interested too. If you find any new and interesting leads, be sure to share them with me.
We don't have too many thoughts yet.
Then why don't I tell you my hypothesis first? The way I see it.
The thud? Oh, you mean the sound that happened during the countdown?
Yes, exactly. It wasn't terribly loud, but I suspect it's just that everyone was awaiting the results of Lini's trick with bated breath, so no one paid it much mind. But now that the incident has happened, the thud has become an important clue.
That makes sense. So,
I'm of the opinion that it may have been the sound of Lini's accomplice, Lynettt perhaps, jumping atop the water tank, and when the pyrotechnics went off, she cut the rope, sending the water tank crashing down.
wait, wasn't the noise we heard too loud for that?
Perhaps the balance wasn't right, leading to a particularly rough landing. Well, that's true.
That does remind Paimon, though. What was with that set? So this is the rope that broke and caused the water tank to fall. The rope looks pretty durable. How can it be burned through so quickly by fireworks? Why are you suddenly so serious, Traveler? Whoa. Look! This bit is made from different material! Most of it was burned away, but there's still a little bit of it left. something was made with that kind of Wait! Why would you write all this? Wow! Every detail you revealed was more amazing than the last!
Lynette would briefly walk out of the box and then go back in, jumping into the tunnel and escaping before the box on the trolley could finish ascending. And then I walk out of the other box in the audience area, and the trick would be complete. But as you saw, Cal was in the box, not our audience member. She, on the other hand...
We really don't know how that happened.
If not for that interlude, this would have been an astonishing trick. I probably never would have figured out how you... And yet, to think that someone was able to use this magic trick Could we have a look around? I think we can come up with some more leads.
This is the scene of the crime, so Lini and Lynettt are not permitted to stay here.
Yes, of course. No need to be so strict now. I won't disappear into...
Thanks, everyone. We're counting on you.
What's this?
Looks like a hook tied to the end of a rope. Huh? There's all kinds of...
Perhaps it was a prop for a different trick. But
whatever it is, what is this place?
It seems someone could fit through here.
Huh. Could this have been the suspects?
Alone, perhaps. But if they had to pull another person with them...
But there are no other ways in or out of here. Oh, you're right! Let Paimon write that down. Seems we're just about done investigating down here.
Yes. Let's head back up. Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Malus returns. Seems to me that there are several...
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle.
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low, since the vent leads to the opera houses. The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or after the incident, and no one was found hiding there.
So the tunnels become like a secret chamber then. You know, like the kind you usually...
The plot thickens. Halsey's disappearance and Cowell's death. No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation. All the current evidence points toward Lini and Lynette.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some considerable progress.
Charges and then trial. So if the charges are upheld, they'll announce a sentence?
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the Opera House. During the proceedings, the Chief Justice and the oratrice will hear statements from both sides. That's right. This is how indemnitium is produced. The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even the audience's emotions will all be projected on the oratrice. To put it simply, it's as if the oratrice has its own will, and is a judge in its own right.
This also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. Not that this has ever happened anyway.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. Then, finally, the oratrice will be consulted by officials. The result it returns is the will of justice.
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides? Paimon thought Neverlet called the shots.
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment. Which is why people have great faith in the Chief Justice. Yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us will be allowed to leave this place.
Huh? Why?
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That makes us persons related to the case.
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties. Or that we might find outside help to disrupt the... And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread key information about the case ahead of time.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa! There's no need for that! Paimon thinks they have a point. That said, are they providing food?
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the cards, nor is any guarantee of balanced nutrition.
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some of Fontaine's famous... what better way to properly think through our findings than over some tea and sweets?
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea after all. Just kidding! Paimon will still do her best, even if there are...
What do you mean, no snacks? Of course we'll have snacks. If we cannot buy...
Huh? Here?
Understood, demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Wait, you're carrying a portable stove with you?
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the demoiselle's baking needs whenever the fancy...
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment. You'll get to taste my awesome snack.
These three are quite the interesting group. And Paimon thought it smelled good while it was still in the oven. Oh, it's even... From the way you had these two guys carrying all that stuff around, Paimon thought you'd have... But you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself. Beating the egg whites, grinding almonds.
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking. Aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty, beating egg whites and baking like this?
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea, ride horses, and play the piano. Don't underestimate beating egg whites, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency, or your macarons will crack. Anyway, give these a try, fresh out of the oven. There's 3 for each of us.
Only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head.
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong black tea with a floral fragrance that clears the mind and lifts the spirit. No need for concern. I'm merely doing as I should.
All right then. Down to business. As Paimon mentioned previously, however, we can assume that Lini and Lynette were not alone within it. Some criminal also occupied it. The magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course, but they lack any logic.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the criminal in the tunnel, resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes, and her abduction. Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she was—
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support the existence of this third person, but the only people left to consider are both technically victims. Whether it's the—
Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowell before making her escape?
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need to understand the entire— nor does she have any motive. The guard said that she has never had any dealings with the Magic Troop's member.
Were we not thorough enough from the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible case. Your macarons are amazing though, Navia. They smell great! They're nice.
They are my specialty after all. And I see you've already—
What? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only counted 3.
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweets.
No. Being greedy is one thing, but Paimon knows how to keep. Besides, Paimon knows that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? If Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons, then may they turn into stone in her stomach!
All right, we get it. Well, I suppose one of us might have gotten too engrossed in our chat and eaten them by mistake. Malus, set up the stove again if you would.
Huh? What are you—
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to trouble—
As you wish, demoiselle.
And I have the egg, sugar, and almonds.
Well, this really is your hobby, huh?
Well, that's it for snack time. I'm going to have another look around the area. I don't know what we're looking for yet, but we've still got some time. As attorneys, I suggest the 2 of you think the case over again. It would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on stage.
All right. Thanks for your help, and for the snacks.
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Malus, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
All right, it's time to put our heads together. We've got to get our defense ready for the trial. Oh, it's probably gonna be a long and difficult case. There's no point in worrying about that now. We just need to prepare. Here, take Paimon's notes. They should help you review the situation. Plan. Impossible things don't just happen. We'll get to the truth one way or another.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lini and Lynette, at least we will be Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened than we do.
Thanks, Navia. Well?
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well, now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that you're. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Lini...
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the...
Thank you, Mr. Lini. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to...
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Lini is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact...
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask...
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard.
Huh?
Hey, hang on!
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my found... Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually...
The House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an...
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless you're... The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the info. Oh, good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all...
Hey, Lini, why didn't you tell us...
Order! Order! Mr. Lini, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farina has first, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynettt are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Lini.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're all
The defendant deceived their own attorneys.
What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in 1 hour.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of...
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think I'm sorry, Traveler, and...
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word, but our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not—
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has consciousness. Why can it— During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in—
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that that voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, it was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust, but like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui,
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense, huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Lini acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone at this stage, let's revisit that scene from Lini's perspective. The countdown began. He entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught. So Lini proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him afterward. Lini passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled. And there you have it. That's the
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What According to Lini, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey. Lini went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the countdown started, Lini did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the... Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since the crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not... Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Paimon did it! Paimon...
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of...
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire... Assuming that what you say is true, Lini only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could... You're saying that he wasn't.
That's right! Lini wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. This means that when the crime happened, Lini had already entered the basement. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lini who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lini's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own? Could there have been a third person involved? Is that... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lini's...
That can't be right. The killer...
Oh, is that so? How interesting!
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So... the sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... Lini was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lini as well. Lini was not in the tunnel at that... No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between... No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, the sound we heard may have come from a clash... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. Lini was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. Lini was not in the tunnel at that... Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So... No one entered or left the opera house... Lini was not in the tunnel at that... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell. No one entered or left the opera house through... It would have been tough for both people to fit in... Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from a clash. The deceased's name is Cowell. The sound we heard may have come from... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that...
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared. Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very like... And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lini was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to... No one entered or left the opera house. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover...
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being... Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very...
Even so, I trust the traveler. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings.
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may... Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased Cal.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separate. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea. The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving...
Could something so ridiculous actually be...
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but...
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprise. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet... Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Lini, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected.
Right! Like the metal hook! That would... Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that... What?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lini... The water from the primordial sea should already... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering mechanism. Lynette was in the magic box on stage I remember there was... The rope that strung the water tank... Now it seems like the hook rope was not... The water from the primordial sea... Now it seems like the hook rope... Lynette was in the magic box on... I remember there was some...
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to In the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope, and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial... Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel. With the But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by this...
Huh.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I...
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that... His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Lini's personal effects.
What?
That can't be. Oh, I see. Well, how wonderful. Does this not clear all... My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present... Lini did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave this, having made modifications to the props beforehand. His but upon his return, in cruel avarice, ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed... Am I right, Miss?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of it. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now. And we have, I believe, this is indeed... Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your...
Excuse me, everyone, but I...
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see... I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared... What in the world?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Lini and Lynettt. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the cut. As the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for...
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So, the whole thing about people...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my... I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she...
That'll teach you to
Where should I begin? I'm sorry.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. Lillian, and I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lini was the one who caught me.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief! Lini even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped in. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out, and there was nowhere to run from there, though. So I had to change my clothes and hide in a box. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear, had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story from... The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowell. The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lillian's attempt to break out when she was frightened. Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian... He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief, mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect. He tried to force... The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top. Not with no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume... that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So...
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped two of them right under our noses.
At this point, all the events that happened...
Ah, so that...
Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against